Pakistan hostage crisis deepens. On cam, fighters take over tracks. Over 100 Pakistani personnel still hostage. Over 27 BLA rebels killed. Pakistan plunges further into crisis.
The information that's coming in from Pakistan right now, information from Balochistan, is that a very large number of coffins, and some reports seem to indicate that the number of coffins are more than 100, could be close to 200. They are now being brought to Quetta, and from Quetta are being dispatched to the area where the train was derailed and detracked, and that's the area where the Pakistani forces are encircling that area. So initially it was believed that there could be negotiations with the Baloch Liberation Army, but now apparently it's a fight to the finish. What does that indicate? And apparently there are other attacks that are taking place at Pakistani security forces in Balochistan at different locations in the past 24 hours. Over the course of the next half hour, I get you all details. I'm Gaurav Sawant as always. Let's get started. Let me now get you the latest from Balochistan, where Pakistani security forces are encircling the place near the area where the train was not just hijacked but also derailed and the train is now inside a tunnel. That's the information that we are getting in. Baloch insurgents, the Baloch Liberation Army, they hijacked a train in a mountainous area south of Quetta. We'll also show you a video that India Today has accessed. Actually, this is a video that's been put out by the Baloch Liberation Army. You can see they've filmed that entire process of the train coming into that mountainous area. Then explosions go off, and we'll show you those visuals in just a moment. There you see those visuals. You have the Baloch Liberation Army on higher ground. That's where an explosion goes off on the tracks. The train stops. Baloch fighters are filming all of this. The information that we have is that close to 200 coffins have now been sent to this area. Baloch Liberation Army and the eyewitnesses claim they released 155 passengers. Pakistan Army claims they rescued the passengers. The Baloch Liberation Army has given a 48-hour deadline for release of all political prisoners and all military prisoners. So they're saying we have 200 plus prisoners of war. That's Pakistan Army soldiers. They're saying release them in exchange of the Baloch fighters and Baloch political leaders that the Pakistan Army and government have in their custody. We get you more in this report.
The Balochistan Liberation Army releases the first images of the Bolan attack. The video shows the Jaffar Express in control of Balochistan rebels after they hijacked the Jaffar Express, which was going from Quetta to Peshawar with hundreds of passengers in 9 bogies with dozens of security personnel. The attack took place at around 1 p.m. when the train passed through the Bolan Pass at tunnel number 8. The insurgents still hold hundreds of hostages even as security forces carry out rescue operations. Over 100 passengers have been rescued by the Pakistani security forces. The army also claims they have killed over 25 rebels in the gunfight. Pakistani PM Shehbaz Sharif has said security forces are eliminating terrorists. The BLA, on the other hand, claims they have killed several security personnel. The BLA claims they have released all women and children who were on the train. Pakistani journalists say that Sharif government is suppressing coverage of the train hijack, whereas Baloch journalists claim the attack on the train is the result of Pakistan government's brutality.
This is a result of 78 years of military brutalities in Balochistan. I am extremely upset that the Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and also the President of Pakistan Asif Zardari, they have been busy trying to please the Army GHQ in Rawalpindi and the Apara headquarters.
The BLA has given a 48-hour deadline to release all political prisoners in exchange for releasing all passengers. The rebels have threatened to kill more hostages if the demands are not met. With Hamza Azhar from Islamabad, Bureau Report, India Today.
So the Baloch Liberation Army had claimed they had more than 200 Pakistan Army soldiers in their custody. Now we are being told that informally and unofficially, it's now been confirmed even by Islamabad that the Baloch Liberation Army has over 200 hostages and they've been split up. They are being kept at 5 different locations by the Baloch Liberation Army. So which means all these 200 Pakistan Army soldiers are not inside the tunnel or in the train at any one location. They've been split up and taken to different locations. The Pakistan government incidentally has sent 200 coffins from Quetta to the Bolan area, fearing the worst case scenario. And again, this is being reported that this is as per protocol. Baloch fighters are firm on a prisoner of war exchange, which means they want their personnel to be released. Those Baloch fighters who've been in the custody of the Pakistan Army and the government, they should be released. The political prisoners should be released, and those who are victims of forced disappearances, they should be located and handed over in exchange of the 200 Pakistan Army personnel in the custody of the Baloch Liberation Army. There's more breaking news coming in. Before I bring in our guests on this special conversation, the former Chief Minister of Balochistan and the President of the Balochistan National Party, Akhtar Mengal, has hit out at the Pakistan government. Akhtar Mengal has said that Pakistan government has no control whatsoever, or words to that effect, over Balochistan. He said Pakistan has lost the war in Balochistan completely and irreversibly. He's also taken to social media platform X to say every Pakistan government played a role in the systematic genocide of the people in Balochistan. It's that Pakistan brought Balochistan to the brink of destruction. He says they're very sad. No one can control the situation now. I have Dr. Tara Kartha, terrorism and security expert, joining me on this broadcast. I have Abdullah Hamid Gul, chairman of the Tehreek-e-Jawan and Pakistan Party, joining me on the broadcast. And I have Hakeem Baloch, spokesperson of the Baloch National Movement, joining me on this broadcast. And Hakeem Baloch, is this a war for independence, or is this a war for prisoner exchange, POW exchange that the BLA has put out? What can you tell us, sir?
Thank you very much. Of course, first and foremost, the war in Balochistan is for the independence of Balochistan from the clutches of Pakistan's 77 years long occupation. But, during the wars, there is always a movement when, the rebellion groups, the resistance groups, they do like prisoner exchanges. We have seen in the past, and we are living in a time where, an historical prisoner exchanges happening in the region, between the Hamas and the Israeli government. So why not in the case of Balochistan, where the Pakistani army is keeping thousands of political, non-political Baloch, people in their custody, and they are being brutalized by this, Pakistani state. So the
Stay
Baloch
with me for a
Liberation
moment. I
Army
want to
has
bring
taken
Abdullah
this
Hamid
step
Gul into
just
this
to remind
conversation.
them.
Abdullah Hamid Gul, would Pakistan Army or government negotiate with the Baloch Liberation Army, or will it be an operation? We are told that they've surrounded the area. They're mounting an operation. Will it be a fight to the finish, sir?
Thank you very much, and Bismillah Rahman Rahim. First of all, let me tell you that Balochistan Liberation Army has been declared as the fifth terrorist organization in the world by United Nations. So first of all, naturally, negotiations with terrorists it is not possible. And I believe that operations they have conducted, and both versions are in front of you. Well, on one side they are saying that we have released prisoners. On the other side, the Pakistan Army and Pakistan government say that we have rescued the people. Anyhow, this is something debatable. But what I have to say that operations are, they have been conducting operations in different areas, not only in Balochistan but also in KP and other places. But it is everywhere. Terrorism is a phenomena which is being dealt by. I think probably every nation is suffering from it. And yes, Pakistan is facing some terrorist issues. And recently, according to the report, 45% in the increase of terrorism has been reported. But why? We have to understand that 96% of the terrorism was being curbed, during the days of United States of America and its allies in Afghanistan. But later on, when it went, so they left almost $8 billion worth of weapons over there. And that is the reason of the increase of terrorism where we are seeing, and especially in this particular
case. But
case,
explain this to me before I bring in Dr. Tara Kartha. Explain this to me, sir. When America left Afghanistan, Pakistan was cheering, Pakistan was celebrating, Pakistan was saying this is, if I remember the words of Imran Khan, it was celebrating shackles of slavery have been overthrown. It was some kind of an independence movement, and that Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan fighters from Afghan prison were brought into Pakistan. So is Pakistan suicidal that it would bring in those weapons, bring in those fighters, and now say, oh my God, I'm being killed, whether it's in KPK or in Balochistan, sir?
No, I believe that what you are saying, that the jubilation was something different, but leaving the weapons by Americans, this is completely a different scenario. We jubilated, but not for the Americans to leave the weapons over there. And then, according to the Sara, who was a counter-terrorism supporter, of course, operator of CIA, she in her broadcast claimed that we have been providing $18.5 billion worth assistance to Afghanistan after we left Afghanistan on 1st of September 2021. So this is according to her, and nobody negated it. Nobody said that this is a false information. So I believe that yes, Americans definitely, because in Doha Accord, two of the guarantors were there.
So America is to blame for terror in Pakistan is what you're implying? America is to blame for terror in Pakistan. Is that your implication? But I want to bring in Dr. Tara Kartha. Dr. Tara Kartha, you heard, what was said by Fazlur Rahman just weeks ago, almost prophetic words, when Fazlur Rahman said there are 6 to 7 districts in Balochistan no longer in control of the Pakistan Army, something that's been said by Akhtar Mengal right now in that social media post where he says no part of Balochistan is in control of Pakistan. Where do you stand on that, ma'am? What's your appreciation?
Yeah, you're absolute. I was just going to bring that up, that Fazlur Rahman had warned this. And what did they do in return? They bumped off a couple of JUIF guys out in Balochistan. They were killed. So that is the response which Fazlur Rahman got for his statement. I just want to say one thing. BLA has been designated as a terrorist organization by the US, not by the UN.
Yes.
Why would the US do that? If it is supporting terrorism, I was very surprised that the US at that point of time did it, but then for whatever reason. Now this is a proper professional operation. It is not, I can't see it as a terrorist organization. They've taken control of that. They've released women. They've made statements. They said prisoners of war, please release our people as well. It's a proper, it's not a random terrorist kind of like the kind which you saw in 26/11. So, and everybody knows when they say release prisoners, God knows how many prisoners there are. There are hundreds who have been picked up every day, and they pick up women, they pick up children, they pick up anybody.
Yes.
And I think at many times we've told our Pakistani interlocutors, listen, what are you doing? the more you do this, the greater the resistance is, because the Baloch are not going to be controlled by such tactics.
Let me bring in Hakim Baloch and Abdullah Hamid Gul for more on this. Hakim Baloch, what next? How long can the Baloch Liberation Army sustain this? Will this be like an indefinite siege, or are the Baloch fighters, are they prepared for a fight to the finish here? What explains splitting the 200 plus hostages at 5 different locations?
So one of the things which we need to understand is that the Baloch Liberation Army is in a very strong position. They have a huge number of militants in the organization. They have 4 or 5 different units. They were part of this attack. So I believe the Baloch Liberation Army has taken this decision after, I would say, months of planning. They knew that this is the train where 200 plus military personnel were going. They did not went on to any random, train and attacked it. They knew where they are going, how they are going, what are they going to face, and they were ready. You see, in the first attack, when they took over the train, when they took, the hostages was taken over, none of the militant was even wounded. And so far, I totally deny the statements of the Pakistani state, because as we all know, they have a history of lying, false statements, and fabricating news is part of the history of Pakistan. But the Baloch Liberation Army, in their very first statement, has made it clear: women, children, elderly, and the Baloch civilians are being released, but the military personnel will be kept. And I don't think so they're going to give away. They're very firm. They're very strong. It is on to the Pakistani state and the military how they're going to react.
And this is likely to be a long-drawn affair in your view, Abdullah Hamid Gul. There are some commentators who are saying that the Baloch Liberation Army, they're being very chivalrous. They let the women and children go. Pakistan Army would not have returned this favor with Baloch women and children, sir.
Just to mention one thing here.
I do not accept the statements of any terrorists, but I believe that what we are doing, yes, there are flaws in our policy. We need to, I think, look into that. We need to revamp our policy. The Balochistan government, probably, I do not see that they are quite successful in curbing the menace of the terrorism. On the other side, we do not have any sympathies with the terrorists. We have nothing to do with the BLR or BLA or BLF. So these are all the terrorist organizations. They are killing their own people, and there are lots of examples where they have killed their own Baloch people. So what are they? It has got nothing to do with the Baloch people. It is just the bunch of terrorists who
so
are.
Why
just,
is the Pakistan Army, in your view, why is the Pakistan Army, in your view, in such a sorry state in Balochistan and in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa right now? You know the number of military casualties. I will not list them out to you, because you will contest them saying, no, they were not 1,000, they were only 600 or 700 or 800. Even that number is extremely high since the Taliban took control of Afghanistan. Where is it in your military appreciation and in your political appreciation? Where has Pakistan Army faltered in KP and in Balochistan?
Well, as far as there is a war. There, of course, it is a clandestine war which is being, which we are fighting. But at the same time, there are, what we have achieved out of it. Now you see that the support which was supposed to be given by, West at that time, it was not given to us. Then the weapons which were left in Afghanistan, naturally, this is the issue. This is what Pakistan is being claiming. And I think Pakistan's biggest success is that when Mr. Trump is saying that, yes, we need to get the weapons back. So it is it is a victory for Pakistan. But on the other side, if we talk about Balochistan and KP, yes, there is a state of war going on. There is a terrorism going on, but we are trying to control the situation. And of course, but the KP government and the Balochistan government, I think they are failing over there.
No, this would practically mean, sir, Dr. Tara Kartha, this would practically mean more than half of Pakistan is in a state of war. That's point one. Point two, Pakistan thought that those weapons would be used against India and Kashmir. Those weapons are being used in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and in Balochistan, and hundreds of Pakistan Army soldiers are dying every day. Is Pakistan fighting a losing war? Because I would want to ask you, Dr. Tarak Artha, when a Pakistan, Army Public School Peshawar, when the terror attack took place, one thought Pakistan would change. It would turn a new leaf. It didn't happen then. Will it happen now? Or will it be back to normal, as many describe this as collateral damage, 200, God forbid, fatalities?
Absolutely. The attack on the school was extremely unfortunate. I mean, that was a tragedy. But like you said, no lessons learned. Every day, and we are looking at the statistics, every day 5 to 6 security forces are dying. And what have you learned from that? Not to hold back on violence. You know, the key to counter-terrorism is to win the people over. That is what we did in Kashmir. Is that what they're doing? No. So I just want to slightly give you one example, which may not seem on the same plane, but this is the fact. The Chinese port, in the Chinese port, I would say, Gwadar, has no electricity, no water, nothing. Despite the Chinese giving them salination plants, giving them electricity equipment, nothing has happened. It is a complete breakdown of governance. That is the problem. So if you want to first win over the people, first you have to start governing that place. They're not doing it. All they do is pick up and kill these people. That's not the way to do counterterrorism at all.
Okay. And Hakim Baloch, there was a report, and you tell me if it's authentic or not, that Baloch fighters say that even Chinese engineers or Chinese workers are legitimate target for them. So is this war, one, likely to intensify? Two, can the Baloch fighters take on the entire might of the Pakistan army or the Pakistan government should it come their way? Because there are many commentators in Pakistan who are now saying there needs to be an operation all out the way Sri Lanka had against LTTE. That's the way to go after terrorists in Balochistan as the Pakistan army perceives them to be.
I believe this shows the Pakistani commentators have no idea of the geographic, location of Balochistan, how complex that area is. When they mention the LTT and the Sri Lanka, they forget that how they were based, where they were based, what happened in that, historical movement, what were the situations. I'm not going to go into all of that, but they are in Balochistan. From the last 7 decades, there have been 5 major operations. They have killed thousands of people. They have taken 1,000 people as prisoners. Women were killed. Children was, killed. No Baloch people was left with mercy. The only thing they are going to do is to intensify the already, burning situation of Balochistan, and which will not work in their favor. Now, as we are talking today, what they have done this morning, a renowned activist, Gulzadi Baloch, who's who is a member of a victim family, she was abducted along with her brother this morning. So you can see this is how the Pakistani state works. It is mentality of a thug. It is mentality of as we call it in Mumbai or Karachi language, a bhai, like a gunda, but they are not a responsible state or a responsible army.
Let me get Abdullah Hamid Gul to respond to that, sir. Does the Pakistan army only want to control Balochistan through force? Because every Baloch person we speak to, they say for us, right from 1947-48, from the times of Khan of Kalat, it's been a war for independence. That war for independence continues under Parvez Musharraf. That aerial attack, that bombing, that killed Nawab Akbar Bukti, that showed Pakistan's ugliest face of the Pakistan army. This could be as bad or worse, but they will fight for freedom.
No, anyone who is going to raise their weapons against the state, they need to be dealt according to the law of the land, and we have the law very clear about it. And the second is, if you talk about the conquering, why should we conquer when it is already with us? So I think we are not pushed about it. But at the same time, yes, terrorism is going on. But if you talk about Khan of Kalat, the Khan of Kalat was the one who embraced Pakistan, who actually said that, okay, we need to come with Pakistan. It is an official document. How can anyone deny it? the Baloch people, like if we talk about the Punjab and Baloch issue, then Mir Chakre Azam, their greatest leader, he is buried in Punjab near Sahiwal area. So if we talk about such, I think it is just trying to, we are just not telling the truth about Balochistan.
But
Balochistan,
we
there
are looking
only
at the situation
10
on
million
ground,
people are
sir.
living.
The number of terror attacks that have taken place, as you put it, or struggle for freedom, as Hakeem Baloch would put it. Can the Baloch army take on the Pakistan army, given the strength? It's a nuclear weapon state, and the Baloch fighters, I mean, they may have the advantage of hills, but how long can guerrilla warfare continue, Mr. Hakeem Baloch?
See, it is not about the numbers. It is not about the strength of the army. We have seen the mightiest army like the United States failing in many regions where they have fought against the indigenous people. The studio where yourself is standing is a very great example of, kicking out the imperial and the colonial powers, be it the Great Britain. Unfortunate incident happened that from the India, a country carved out, which is unfortunately now occupying Balochistan. I would, gladly say that the Baloch will resist. They know that they might not win this war at this minute, but they are ready to sacrifice each and everything for their historical land. Now, one thing which I just want to correct here, as my Pakistani counterpart said there, that the Baloch leader Mir Chakre Azam is indeed buried in Punjab. The Baloch has nothing against the Punjab historically, nor anything about the history of Punjab. The problem is the mindset of the Punjabi administration at the minute, because
That's
they
why they
believe,
start
because
killing,
they are the
unfortunately,
beneficiary.
pardon me, but that's why they
Now,
start killing people by
sorry,
checking their ID
I did
cards.
not.
They are targeting
I can't
Punjabis.
continue with this.
I tend, I fail to understand this
I can't
argument.
continue with this.
One
Sorry.
by one. Okay, so while both of you,
Yeah,
just
please.
take a step back, let me get Dr. Tara Kartha into this conversation, because the situation right now does look very alarming, and it's not just one attack. There's been a major attack on a train, and people have been held hostage, but there are reports of multiple simultaneous attacks having taken place across multiple districts, including in Mastung, where we are told that weapons have been looted by Baloch fighters. And this would indicate that the Pakistan army or security forces are actually not in control on ground, madam.
Well, I didn't hear that. That's very serious if that is true. And I remember they did this, something like this. I mean, not on this scale. Last year in August, if you recall, when they literally cut Balochistan off from the mainland. So these are, they are very, they think strategically. It's not just some, like I said earlier, it's not just some random attacks. They have some very clear goals in mind. And remember, in Balochistan, the problem is the population intensity is very low. So you've got the small group of people fighting against in this massive territory against an army which is basically been doing counter-terrorism for decades.
Okay.
Pakistan army has been doing terrorism and counter-terrorism for decades.
Yes.
So they are against a very experienced army. So hats off to them. I mean, these guys are, I have to admire the Baloch. And some of the comments by the Pakistanis, I'm sorry, this verges on comical. The things that they're saying, Indians are supporting. Come on, if you kill somebody, they're going to hate you. It's as simple as that.
Okay. No, but, I don't want to bring the India angle into this right now. I want to understand what's happening on ground. Abdullah Hamid Gul, because look at what is happening. The Baluchis were initially restricted to territory that they controlled. Now their forays are deeper, even in Pashtun areas and in KPK. So when TTP, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, and BLA, Baloch Liberation Army, come together, when the Fateh Squad teams up with the latest weapons that they get through the TTP from Afghanistan, is that a nightmarish situation for the Pakistan army all along the Durand line in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and in Balochistan? And God forbid this fire could spread to Sindh very soon.
Well, I already told you that already, we have seen in the case of Jok cantonment attack, where TTP also helped, people from Balochistan Liberation Army. But this does not mean, because terrorists, they have no land, They have no religion. They have got no sympathy for the people, like our brother was saying. But let me tell you that Baloches, this BLA people, they are checking the ID cards of the people, those who are coming from Punjab, and they are slaughtering them. So is this, they have the sympathy and love for Mir Chakir Azam's grave over there in Punjab?
Okay.
And is such a huge community of Baloch people living in Punjab alone.
Yes.
But on the other side, like you have mentioned, that if they join together, already on number of occasions they were together.
Yes.
But as I said, we need to change our strategy and we shall be victorious. There is no problem. Yes, there are issues. Nobody is denying that. But we will be able to come up with the solution, inshallah ta'ala. But if the present policy of the Balochistan and KP government is going to continue and the interior minister's policy will continue, I think we will be in trouble. But at the same time, now is the time that we will change our policy, and I'm sure of it. I know it. That
Hakeem
the policy
Baloch
will
wants
be
to respond
in a day or two.
Hakeem Baloch wants to respond because
we will see what is going to come up with it.
Clearly, one place where I'm sure you will agree with Abdullah Hamid Gul, Hakeem Baloch, is that this is not ek SHO ki maar, and that is where Mohsin Naqvi, Pakistan's interior minister, was way off the mark, sir.
So, firstly, I am going to respond to my Pakistani counterpart, and I hope that he will listen to me the way I was listening to him. He will have his patience. Not every Punjabi is being handpicked, their ID cards are being checked and killed. The report which we saw at the beginning of this interview, there are 3 men which are, by sound of them, by look of them, were Punjabi, clearly Punjabi, residents of Punjab. They were set free by the Baloch Liberation Army, not by any security forces. Now we come to the point where the Pakistani Interior Minister said that this is a SHO ki maar. You guys mentioned the opposition leader Maulana Fazlur Rahman, but even 2 days ago, the opposition leader in Balochistan Parliament said the same thing, Mir Israrullah Zaheri, and he mentioned in Balochistan there's no writ of government, but the writ of Baloch Liberation Army's head Bashir Zeb and Balochistan Liberation Front's Dr. Allah Nazar Baloch. I want to clarify one more thing, that Pakistan Army, Pakistani state has put a stop on the political activities in Balochistan. I've never been a member of any armed organization. I was a political activist doing my politics peacefully. Ghulam Muhammad Baloch was killed. Chairman of Baloch National Movement, was a political person. Yes, we did not agree with the idea of Pakistan, but that does not give you the right to kill us.
Yep.
But there was political people, they were killed by the Pakistani state.
The last 30 seconds that I have on this part of the show, Dr. Tara Kartha, clearly if the Interior Minister of Pakistan says this is ek SHO ki maar, when the last strike had taken place, does this show that either the Interior Minister or even the Pakistani state have absolutely no idea how to deal with this huge challenge? And when you don't know what's the threat that you're facing, clearly you don't know what the solution is.
Absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. I mean, it is like sitting somewhere, like a colonial state, sitting somewhere and talking about this place that theek hai, wo jo chal raha hai, we'll handle it. There's a sense of remoteness, and that is what the Baloch most dislike. That you don't identify us as people of Pakistan. It's the lowest, the indicators. I'm not going to repeat them here. So yeah, you're right. It is just an absolute illustration of the attitude of the Pakistani establishment.
I will, thank all our guests on this part of the show, Abdullah Hamid Gul, Hakeem Baloch and Dr. Tara Kartha for joining me here on India Today. As always, many thanks. The situation does remain very, very precarious in Pakistan. How long will this continue? We will keep getting you latest updates. So there are massive security arrangements in place in and around Sambhal ahead of Holi celebrations. The Uttar Pradesh government has issued new guidelines to ensure there is no tension either in or around not just Sambhal but that entire region of Uttar Pradesh, as Holi celebrations are at the same time around the Friday namaz this year. Here's what authorities have made mandatory as precautionary steps. They're saying There'll be additional security personnel in place. 10 mosques, including the Jama Masjid, will be covered using tarpaulin on the occasion of Holi. And this is a decision that's been taken by both Hindus and Muslims together as part of the peace committee meeting. It's the Muslim side that said you should cover up this part of the mosque so that there is no apprehension of colors. The police will also visit all areas that are deemed sensitive and will be deployed even ahead of Holika Dahan. I get you more in this report.
Keeping Friday prayers and holy procession in mind, the Sambhal administration have started preparations for the peace in Sambhal, and as you can see in the visuals, currently I am here standing backside of the Shahi Jama Masjid, which was the epicenter of violence in the month of November last year, where you can see after the peace committee and police meeting, they have decided to cover the mosque, the walls of the mosque with the plastic sheet. And as you can see in the visual, they have started doing this. They have erected big pipes, and now they are putting big trampoline sheets, plastic sheets around the masjid. And as you can also see in the visuals, on the other hand, heavy deployment of police on the ground. All police officers, RRF as well as PAC is on the ground. We have seen in the visuals that police has been deployed here on the various corners of the city. They are using CCTV drones to keep eye on the situation, and you can see in the visuals, I am standing here on the back side of the Jama Masjid, where you can see in the visuals how they are installing these plastic sheets to maintain peace in Sambhal, which became epicenter of violence in the month of November. With the cameraman Pradeep Gupta, Anmol Bali, Sambhal.
सभी लोगों से अपील भी की गई है कि 2:30 बजे से पहले अपना होली खेलें, और 2:30 बजे के बाद में जिन लोगों को अपनी जुम्मे की नमाज अदा करनी है वो लोग अपनी नमाज अदा करें। दोनों समुदायों के लोग शांतिपूर्वक तरीके से इस त्योहार को मनाएं, सहयोग करें पुलिस और प्रशासन का। कोई भी व्यक्ति जिसको अगर जबरदस्ती गुलाल लगाया गया है और वो फील करता है इस तरीके से, तो उसको संबंधित पुलिस थाने या चौकी पे जाना चाहिए। पुलिस उस पर सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई करेगी। किसी भी व्यक्ति को कानून व्यवस्था को अपने हाथ में लेने की आवश्यकता नहीं है।
मैं मेरे मुसलमान भाइयों से विनती करूंगा कि नमाज इस बार हमारी 1 साल के अंदर ये त्यौहार आता है, हम आपका सम्मान करते हैं, आप भी हमारे त्यौहार का सम्मान करिए। इस बार नमाज अपने घर में ही पढ़िए, ताकि आपको हमसे कोई शिकायत ना हो कि ऐसा हो गया वैसा हो गया, और शांति बनी रहे। इस शांति के साथ मैं उन सब लोगों से प्रार्थना करना चाहता हूं कि आपके 52 बार आप शुक्रवार आते हैं साल के अंदर, इस बार निवेदन करता हूं कि आप अपने घर में पढ़िए, ताकि हम भी हर्षोल्लास के साथ अपनी होली को मना सकें, सद्भावना के साथ, प्यार के साथ, क्योंकि ये प्यार का त्यौहार है।
मैंने अपने बयान पे खेद प्रकट किया है, और जो है सुबह से मेरे पास हर तरह के आदमी आ रहे हैं। मुझे कोई जो है बांग्लादेशी कह रहा है, कोई देशद्रोही कह रहा है। तो मैं मीडिया कर्मी भाइयों से ही कहना चाहती हूँ कि अगर ठीक है, आप मेरे बारे में जांच करा लीजिए। अगर कुछ ऐसा पुख्ता सबूत मिलता है तो मेरे पे जो सख्त कार्रवाई होती है वो आप करवाइए।
Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, speaking at the Manthan Mahakumbh and Beyond program in Uttar Pradesh, spoke of further action in Sambhal. Yogi Adityanath said it's not acceptable that someone forcibly occupies a place of worship, destroys someone else's faith, and can get away with it. He hinted at unearthing of more pilgrimage sites in Sambhal in the coming days. That work is on of the 68 shrines in Sambhal. Effort is on some 19 wells, and about 50 plus temples have been found. Others are being restored.
देखिए, संभल एक सच्चाई है, और मैं बार बार कहता हूं इस बारे में। देखिए, मैं एक योगी हूं, हर पंथ संप्रदाय उपासना विधि का सम्मान करता हूं, लेकिन हम जबरन किसी पे कब्जा करके किसी की आस्था को रौंदे तो यह स्वीकार्य नहीं, ये कतई स्वीकार्य नहीं है। खासतौर पर तब संभल एक सच्चाई है, संभल का महत्व। संभल एक तीर्थ रहा है, 68 तीर्थ थे वहां पे, अभी हम केवल 18 निकाल पाए हैं वहां पे। जो हमारे कार्य चल रहे हैं 18 हम निकाल पाए हैं। 19 कूप थे, 19 के 19 कूप हम लोगों ने निकाल लिए हैं, जिसमें उत्खनन का काम हम करा रहे हैं। आपने देखा होगा 56 वर्ष के बाद पहली बार वहां शिव के मंदिर, भगवान शिव के मंदिर में जलाभिषेक का कार्य हो पाया है। क्या कर रहे थे लोग? जो ठेका ले लिए हैं तमाम जाति के नाम पे बांटने का, क्या कर रहे थे वहां पे?
Moving on to the other big story of the day, Airtel and Jio have signed an agreement with SpaceX to bring Starlink satellite internet to India. The rollout will bring high-speed sat internet to remote areas in the country and support broadband in health centers and educational institute, among others. We get you more in this report.
It's finally a liftoff for Starlink in India. After years of regulatory hurdles and uncertainties, Elon Musk's Starlink is finally breaking into India's communication orbit with landmark tie-ups with Bharti Airtel and Jio platforms. What Starlink has achieved is a virtual coup, getting its biggest competitors, Airtel and Jio, to sell its terminals in India. Both have their own satellite internet ventures, Jio Space Fiber and Airtel's OneWeb partnership, and had been opposing the entry of Starlink into India. But both now plan to sell Starlink terminals from their huge network of stores across the country. The Indian companies wanted a so-called level playing field, calling for an auction of satellite communication spectrum rather than its administrative pricing. Starlink argued for administrative pricing, which it said was the global norm. The Telecom Act of 2023 favoured administrative spectrum allocation over auctions, a win for Musk. The tie-ups are a huge success for Elon Musk, who first eyed India for Starlink in 2021, aiming to bring high-speed satellite internet to remote regions. So what is Starlink? The company provides high-speed internet via satellites and claims to have access to even the remotest parts of the world. As of February end, Starlink had a constellation of more than 7,000 satellites in low Earth orbit, around 550 kilometers above Earth. Reports say it plans a total of around 42,000 satellites. The kit includes a dish, a router, a stand and cables. In South Asia, Bhutan is the only country offering Starlink services. In Bhutan, the speeds are offered up to 110 Mbps with monthly charges ranging between 3,000 to 4,200 rupees for residential use. The kit costs about 33,000 rupees. Elon Musk may be poorer by a whopping 16 lakh crore rupees in the past 3 months, but his deal-making mojo is intact. It took less than a month after his meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Washington, D.C. that Bharti Airtel and Mukesh Ambani's Jio platform announced the tie-up via exchange fillings. And with Tesla expected to drive down Indian highways soon, it's clear that being Donald Trump's influencer-in-chief has helped Elon Musk. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
And let's now talk about Musk to the rescue. Elon Musk-led SpaceX will launch the much-awaited Crew 10 mission to the International Space Station. The Dragon spacecraft will then undock from that flying laboratory with 4 astronauts, including Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore. Will and how will Elon Musk and his SpaceX crew rescue Sunita Williams? How will that happen? We get you more in this report.
It has been a long wait for Sunita Williams. And finally, she's headed home. Elon Musk-led SpaceX is launching the much-awaited Crew 10 mission to the International Space Station. The Dragon will launch with 4 astronauts who will replace the current team aboard the International Space Station. The 4 astronauts launching as part of Crew 10 include Anne McClain, Nicole Ayers, Takuya Onishi and Kirill Peskov. Upon arrival at the International Space Station, Crew 10 will replace the current team. Following separation from Flacon 9, the Dragon spacecraft will execute a series of burns that position the vehicle progressively closer to the station before it performs final docking maneuvers followed by pressurization of vestibule, hatch opening and crew ingress. The handover would then occur on the International Space Station and Crew 9 would return to Earth a few days later. Sunita Williams' return got political after President Donald Trump and Elon Musk accused the Biden administration of intentionally delaying their homecoming. Trump then said that he authorized Elon a week ago to retrieve them. Musk, a vocal advocate for deep space exploration, recently argued that the International Space Station has very little incremental utility and should be deorbited within 2 years. His push for an early International Space Station retirement aligns with his broader vision of prioritizing deep space exploration over maintaining infrastructure in low Earth orbit. Bureau Report, India Today.
The Baloch Liberation Army has just issued a statement on the Pakistan train hijack incident. The Baloch Liberation Army in a statement has said that Baloch fighters are in full control of the Jaffar Express. They maintain full control. Pakistan has been warned. They now only have 24 hours for the prisoners of war exchange. They warned the Pakistan government, if the Pakistan government fails to exchange prisoners within the stipulated 24-hour time frame, the Baloch Liberation Army has threatened that the present hostages will be taken before the Baloch National Court, where they will be tried for alleged war crimes, including state terrorism, enforced disappearances, and other war crimes. The BLA in the statement have warned that if Pakistan continues its delaying tactics and fails to engage in meaningful negotiations, the consequences for the hostages will become irreversible, with escalating punishment every hour after the deadline expires. We will continue to track developments on the story very closely.